Okay. Well, we only have a couple more. We're already at 7. So we have
Yeah.
two. I think it's 2 memories. We got 3 memories left to do because you wanted to do the broken trust to cover George Washington. So it'll be Hickey's execution, public trust, then Battle of Monmouth to talk about Lafayette, and then we'll be done.
Yeah. All right.
So let me get the execution. The execution's a very short one, so
Got it.
start talking about. Thomas Hickey doesn't have too much, so it should roughly work.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so hi guys again. Think this is AC Landmarks and Historian's Perspective. Right now, Ada left us, and then the game crashed immediately. Um, so this is the second part
Up with you!
of the stream.
I said get up!
So we continue it on. So yeah,
What?
we're gonna cover Thomas Hickey right now, and it's a very
Why now?
great mission, this mission, because it covers, like, you know, the plot against Washington, General George Washington. So let's start. This is a fairly short mission. So Thomas Hickey, he was the first person killed by the newly formed U.S. for mutiny, sedition, and treachery after being caught in an attempt on Washington's life. So how did it start? In June 1776, Washington ordered the arrest of David Matthews, the Loyalist mayor of New York City, for conspiring in support of British plans to invade the city and strike the Continental Army there. It was later discovered that Matthews was involved in a plot against Washington, with the British appointed governor of New York, William uh, William Tryon. Um, the plot included using Washington's lifeguards, quote unquote, or bodyguards, who were soldiers
Hello, Connor.
responsible for the general's
Didn't think
safety.
I'd miss your going away
The
party, did
plot
ya?
was foiled by the Committee
I hear
for
Washington himself is
Detecting
going to be in
and
attendance.
Defeating
Hope nothing bad
Conspiracies,
happens to
which was
him.
led by
You
John
said there'd be a
Jay,
trial.
who
Oh, no
later
trial for
became
traitors,
the
I'm afraid.
founding
Lee
father,
and Haytham
jurist,
sorted that.
and diplomat.
It's straight to the gallows
Thomas
for you.
Hickey, the Continental soldier, at the
I will
center
not die
of the
today.
plot, was a favorite of
The same
Washington.
cannot be said for you.
Hickey himself
That's
was a
enough.
British Army
Keep moving.
deserter and was an Irishman who joined the colonial militia in Connecticut and was handpicked by Washington to be in his lifeguard. He was later jailed for having suspicion of counterfeiting. If you were with us in the previous live stream of AC3, you saw us going after Hickey as he was doing the counterfeiting, which is another historical accuracy right there. Anywho, when Hickey was in prison, after that, of course, he was in prison. So when he was in prison, he became a turncoat to the American cause and began telling prisoners that he will actively recruit others to support the British. Hickey was court-martialed for his role in the plot. He pleaded innocent on the charges of joining, of quote-unquote, joining in a mutiny and sedition and treacherously corresponding
Forget
with
about
and
me.
receiving
You
money,
need to stop Hickey. He's
receiving pay
up you
from the
go.
enemies of
Don't want to be
the
late now,
United
do
Cons.
we? You just had to
Regardless,
be an hero,
he
didn't
was
you?
found guilty
You and
on
Georgie
June
both.
26,
Now you see what he
1776.
gets you. A pine
2 days
box,
later,
little
on
else.
June 28, 1776, he was hanged in New York before 20,000 onlookers. He was the first to be executed for treason against what would become the U.S.
Brothers,
Uh,
sisters,
Fellow
against what would
patriots,
become the United States.
several days ago we learned of a
Washington, on
scheme
Hickey's
so vile,
execution day,
so
ordered
dastardly,
that
even
all
repeating
soldiers
it
who were
now
not on duty be
disturbs my
present for
being.
Hickey's execution.
The
He
man
did
before
that
you
to show
plotted
his
to murder
soldiers
our
that
much beloved
what happens
generals.
when
Indeed,
that this is what happens when
what
traitors practices
darkness
are done
or
against the
madness moved
Continental
him,
Army.
none can say, and he himself offers no defense,
yeah.
shows no remorse.
That
And
was
though we have begged
good old
and
Thomas
pleaded
Hickey.
with him to share what he knows, he
I'm really
maintained
disappointed
a
by the
deadly
fact
silence.
that the Assassins and Templars here are portrayed to be mortal enemies from the beginning of history to the end. But it seems like the Templars never plan out this stuff. The Assassins practically just walk in.
Into the arms of the enemy. And thus we are
Yeah.
compelled by justice
I mean,
to
they
send
did
him from
kind
this
of
world.
technically
May
plan
God
out
have
this thing,
mercy
right?
on your soul.
Like, you know, like the whole execution.
Need to stop, Hickey. Go!
Of like Connor and
Well, they had him charged with conspiracy for what Hickey was doing.
yeah, I mean it's their own twisted perspective of like, you know, what happened in history. Like, you know, it's the fictionalized version of it. But I mean, in my opinion, they handled it rather well.
Oh, Washington, no crap. See, these extra missions are dumb sometimes.
Let's see, High Assassins.
I'm just going after him. Washington's bodyguards are useless.
Damn it. I thought I'd at least live to see another day. Shame.
I want answers. Why did Johnson try and buy my people's land? Why was Pitcairn targeting Adams and Hancock? What purpose would Washington's murder have served? Why does your order support the British?
Oh.
How should I know? The Templars, Lee,
I
big man
posted it.
Haytham.
I posted the
They has the
second
money.
tweet. Hi Mag,
They has the power.
thanks for being back.
That's the reason I threw him.
I
at them.
appreciate it.
That's the only reason.
We appreciate it.
Sure, they have some sort of vision
Now let us see.
for the future too.
Alright,
wouldn't
so
give a
we
damn
just
about any of that.
covered Thomas Hickey,
They can
and
sing their songs
we are
about
going to
mankind
cover
and its troubles.
the next
They can make their plans and
topic
spring
right
their
after
traps.
this,
Don't bother
which
me none.
is
They paid me,
Let me
so I
see.
said yes.
George Washington.
Didn't bother to ask who or how or why.
So I'm gonna cover
You
George
chose
Washington
to side
again,
with men who would rob us
Joseph,
of our
because
humanity simply
like, the
because it
first
was
thing
more
is
profitable?
not gonna
What
be
else is
connected
there?
to it. So
I'm not some
Yeah, then just do it all again, and because I know there's a lot, so we'll take it. We'll start now and take it through the next memory.
okay, all right. So
Don't look
I
at me
mean,
like that.
Washington is in this
We're different, you and
memory
I.
anyway. So George Washington,
You're just some
he was the
blind
commander
fool who's always
in
chasing
chief of the
butterflies.
Continental Army in the
Whereas
American
I'm the type of guy
Revolutionary War
who
from
likes to have a beer in one
1775 to
hand and a titty in
1783,
the other.
and served as the
Thing
first
is,
president
boy,
of the United States from
I can have what
April
I seek.
30th,
Had it
1789 to March 4th,
Your hands will always
1797.
be empty.
So, born in the colony of Virginia in the British colonies of America, Washington joined the Virginian militia during his youth and participated in the French and Indian War with the British Army, fighting against the French and their indigenous allies. Due to the lack of progress of his military career in the British Army, Washington instead turned to politics. When the American Revolutionary War broke out, Washington supported the Patriots following the creation of the Continental Army. The Continental Congress of
You wanna kill the
1775 appointed Washington
Nearly killed
as
you
its
as well.
commander-in-chief.
He was a
His father,
scoundrel.
Augustine
But still a
Washington,
man.
died
You're
in
nothing if not
1743,
consistent.
and although
Where is
George
Washington? I
enjoyed
need to speak with him.
Bundled
school,
off
he
as
had
soon
to
as your
leave before
execution
he
went
turned
sideways.
16 to support
He's
his
likely on
family
his way
in
back
his
to
father's
Philadelphia
stead.
by now.
And
Since
so am
at
I.
least
Something wrong?
1748,
He is
he
still in
kept a
danger.
notebook with
Hickey did
descriptions
not
of
act
events in
alone.
his life. Washington volunteered to join British Army General Edward Braddock, who enlisted Washington as a guide in his expedition to take Fort Buchanan. In the winter of 1754, Washington was stationed in Fort St. Matthew, where he formulated the route for the expedition while Braddock rallied his troops and supplies. By the way, Joseph, can you just go on to Broken Trust?
Yeah, I'm going to.
After this, thank you. So on 9th of July 1755, in what would later become known as the Battle of Monongahela, George Washington rode with Edward Braddock along a road amidst a wooded area. Suddenly, their forces were attacked by Native Americans and HAYTHAM Kenway, the Grand Master of the Templar Order of the Colonial Templars, who was disguised as a British soldier. Now, the HAYTHAM Kenway part is fictional, but Native Americans were factual. And this was the Braddock expedition that we live streamed before this stream, so be sure to check that out. Now, fictionally, HAYTHAM then attempted to assassinate Braddock, but was interrupted by Washington, who shot the man's horse from under him. As Washington ready to fire a shot at HAYTHAM,
You seem to think I
he was
favor him,
attacked
but my
and
enemy
pinned
is a
down
notion, not a
by
nation. It is wrong to compel obedience, whether to the British crown or the Templar cross. And I hope in time the loyalists will see this too, for they are
he was
also victims.
pinned down by
Injustice.
Connor's mother,
These are
Rakanahiti's
just
mother.
symptoms. Their true cause is human
which
weakness.
Why
do you think I keep on trying to show you the error of your way?
You have said much, yes,
who later
but you have
died
shown
of
me
his
nothing.
injuries. Following
have to remedy
this
that then, won't
defeat,
we?
Washington returned to his service in the Virginian militia and was promoted to the rank of colonel.
Sir,
He
Hello,
focused
Connor.
on revamping
What brings you
his
here?
forces, hoping to
the
gain
British have
recognition
recalled
and
their men in
acceptance of the
Philadelphia.
British armies.
They march for New York.
Man, you have a lot of
Very well.
information on
I'll move our forces
Washington.
to Monmouth. If we can rout them, we'll have finally turned the tide.
And what's this?
Private
Of
correspondence.
course it is. Would you like to know what it says, Connor?
Okay.
It seems your good friend here has just ordered an attack on your village. Although attack might be putting it mildly.
Following this defeat,
tell him,
Washington
Connor.
returned to his service in the Virginian militia.
We've
and
been
was promoted
receiving
to the rank
reports of
colonel.
Allied
He
natives
focused on
working with the
revamping
British.
his forces,
I've asked
hoping
my men
gain
to put a
recognition
stop
and
to it.
acceptance in the British armies. In
By burning their
1758,
villages and sorting the
Washington
land by
participated
calling for their
in the
extermination,
expedition
according
where
to
he
this
ordered
letter.
his forces to burn
Not
down
the first time either. Tell them what you did 14 years ago.
That was another
to burn down
time.
Connor's mother's
The 7 Years' War.
villages. What's
So
Connor's
now you
mother's
see
name, dude?
what happens to this great man.
I don't want to butcher it.
He makes excuses,
Kanentoken?
displaces blame, does a great many things, in fact.
I thought it was
except take
Kanentoko.
responsibility.
Kanentoko?
Who
Yeah.
did what and why must wait. My
Well,
people
yeah, so
come
he burned down
first.
the villages in an attempt to
Then let's
preempt
be off.
No.
attacks from
You and I are
indigenous
finished.
tribes. In response to this,
Son.
Washington
You
became a
think me
part
so
of the
soft
Continental
that by
Congress,
calling me
and due
son,
to
I
his
might change my
military
mind?
service, he was
How
considered
long
for
did
the
you
role
sit
of
on this
leading the
information, or am I to
Continental Army
believe you
along
discovered it
with
now?
Charles Lee.
My mother's blood may
However,
stain another's hands,
Washington
but Charles
was
Lee's
favored
no less a
because of his
monster, and
modesty,
all he does
insistence
by
for
your
little pay,
command.
and
A
his
warning to you
promise to be
both.
financially
Choose
responsible.
to follow me or oppose
Um,
me, and I will kill you.
My dude, Washington has a lot of historical facts here. Let me see.
Yes, I did a lot.
Okay, on June 16th, 1775, George Washington was appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army in Philadelphia. Rakanahitian, then known as Connor, Army in Philadelphia. Present at the time of his acceptance, fictionally, was the assassin Haytham, then known as Connor. Washington delivered a speech declaring his humble gratitude for the position, and afterwards he was introduced to Connor by Samuel Adams. He also had taken note of disappointment of Charles Lee, who had wished to be appointed commander-in-chief himself. Washington then bid farewell to Adams and Connor and went to calm Lee from his frustrations. The next day, the Continental Army achieved victory at Boston, led by General Israel PUTNAM, which we went over. From there on, Washington moved to the encampment at Valley Forge, and he was able. If you can play the mission slower, dude, that would be great. Washington moved to the encampment at Valley Forge, and he was able to enlist French aid with the vessel La Belladonna, providing equipment and supplies. He also commissioned Marquis de Lafayette as a field secretary, as well as Casimir Pulaski to form the Patriot Cavalry. Washington eventually met with Connor once again in the winter of 1777 at the encampment. There, the commander-in-chief informed Connor of a traitor, Benjamin Church, and elaborated on missing supply caravans, to which Connor volunteered to find Church and retrieve the supplies. All this fictional stuff, let me see. Before leaving, Connor approached Washington with doubt and feared that defeat was inevitable. However, Connor encouraged him to continue leading his troops in their cause for freedom, renewing Washington's conviction and determination. Connor and Haytham approached Washington, informing him of the British Army's intent to march from Philadelphia to New York. While Connor and Washington conversed, Haytham found a letter of Washington's correspondence with the expedition. Reading it aloud and shocking Connor with the truth of Washington's orders to raise Kanentokon's villages, among them Connor's home of
I should make sure the village is safe.
This was a memory that you just saw happen right in front of your eyes, clearly. So yeah, yeah. Connor has to calm down. Let me see. So, putting two and two together, Haytham proceeded to allege that it was Washington who was behind the destruction of, Connor's childhood destruction, which appeared to be corroborated by Washington's admission of a similar operation during the French and Indian War. In reality, the attack that had killed Connor's mother occurred 2 years after Washington's command in that previous war, but neither Connor nor Washington were aware of the misalignment in dates in that moment. Lambasted by Haytham, Washington turned on him in anger, but their altercation was cut short by Connor, who insisted that rescuing his people was the paramount matter. With his trust in Washington broken, trust, Connor left before warning both Haytham and Washington not to stop him or he would kill them both. Before the assassin proceeded to kill Washington's messengers, preventing the attack on the village. So after an attempt on his life, Washington left and began his journey back to Philadelphia. Before leaving once again to hold New York, Washington was eventually defeated by the British Army and was forced to retreat from the city. On the night between the 25th and the 26th December, Washington led his forces on a surprise attack against the Hessians in Trenton, New Jersey, crossing the icy Delaware River with Connor at his side. In 1789, Washington was elected the first president of the United States. He served until 1797, where he then retired to his home on Mount Vernon. Washington later died in his home on 14 December 1799, but not before writing a final entry in his journal, recollecting the events of his life and even remembering and naming Connor's importance in the American Revolution. That was fictional, accompanied by scribing one last page on the day of his death. Upon his death, Washington freed the slaves on his plantation as well to uphold the ideals he fought for. Okay, so that about concludes George Washington. Yeah, I know. Connor's best friend, his death is very bad thing. It's a sad death, really tragic. All right. I'm just gonna continue on talking about the Native American tribe over here, specifically the Mohawks. I'll cover their lifestyle, their politics in the French and Indian War, and conflict with Washington in the American Revolution. And then I'll put some issue facts through. So the Mohawk, aka sorry for butchering that, but their title meant that they were the people of the flint. They were part of the Iroquois Confederacy. Iroquoian was their way of speech, and Mohawk descended from Iroquoian ancestors, the people you see in Assassin's Creed Valhalla's Vinland. The Mohawk were semi-sedimentary. What I mean by that is that they settled and practiced agriculture, but often moved to more fertile lands. In these lands, families lived in long houses, which is a big symbol of Iroquois society. You see this in Assassin's Creed 3 and AC Valhalla. Each man and woman had duties in their culture. People in the Mohawk culture had separate duties. Women would work in maize agriculture, which was foreign agriculture. This is shown in thing, by the way, in AC Valhalla, by the way. And men went hunting during fall and winter, and during summer they fished. The Mohawk tribe were divided between three clans: the Turtle, Bear, and Wolf, each having their own council and chief. In the Iroquois Confederacy, the Mohawks had 9 representatives, 3 people from each clan, and these representatives counseled the chieftains or the chieftain or chieftains. You know, it's according to, like, you know, what the Mohawks wanted. Did they want a chieftain or did they want a chieftains? When the European colonization began, the Mohawk occupied 3 villages west of what is now Sciene, New York. In the French and Indian War, Mohawks allied with the British, be it to secure their lands from the French. Though some Indians also allied with the French. It's according to what favored them most. Catholic converts, though, who were in mission settlements located in Canada, went with the French because of the same reason. They wanted to secure their lands, and Canada was owned by the French. The British won ultimately, though. Then came the American Revolution. In the American Revolution, the nations of the Indian tribes saw a split. Mohawks, Cayugas, Onondagas, and Senecas joined Britain because they thought if America won, then westward expansion would happen, which would ruin native life, which was ultimately what happened. Oniedas and Tuscaroros, God, I'm butchering it. Tuscaroros joined the American side to win favor with the Americans, so they thought. Mohawks led the resistance against the Americans and were led by their chief, Joseph Brad, aka Thayendanegea. So this chief led the four tribes to punishing raids in New York and Pennsylvania in 1778 and 1779. Let me see. Let me see. So, of course, George Washington was pissed of these advances by the tribes, so he hid back. Washington was out for revenge after four nations of Indians attacked America. He tasked General John Sullivan to lead an expedition against the hostile tribes, I guess, quote unquote, the hostile tribes of the Six Nations of Indians with their associates and adherents. He then fired, he fired their settlements, literally, the settlements went on fire, and he took their slaves. This was all depicted right in in Assassin's Creed. Washington was then nicknamed Konotokarius by natives, who that meant town destroyer for his actions, of course. After America won, the two tribes that sided with the Americans and the forces that didn't lost their lands because of westward expansion. Washington's actions against natives was depicted in Assassin's Creed also. In fact, the letter, which I will post to my Twitter later on, just a second. The letter that I will post to Twitter, that George Washington wrote to General Sullivan to burn native settlements, was shown in AC3 upon Connor and Haytham visiting him. The same reasoning was given in this instance. Also in AC Rogue, Kinsigawase, Shay's assassin friend turned enemy, was also born in 1730 to the Wollastoqui tribe around New Brunswick in Canada. His allegiance to the French in the French-Indian War makes sense since tribes there were loyal to the French. And finally, the Iroquois tribe go as way back as Assassin's Creed Valhalla. In fact, you see them in Vinland. The people you see will come to be the descendants of Connor's Mohawk tribe. And that covers the Mohawk, well, the Native Americans during the American Revolution. Yeah. All right. Time for a trivia question. Meg, choose an Assassin's Creed title we can go and do. We only have two more topics after this. Philadelphia will be.
Well, actually, we can't do Philadelphia because I can't show it.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, we're running short on time, so for the last two topics, we'll do the Marquis de Lafayette and Charles Lee and call it.
The Boston Gazette
Meg, while you choose the topic, I'm gonna be right back. I just gotta do something. All right, let's go. Let's go with AC2. All right, Assassin's Creed 2. Okay. Here's the question. Desmond suffered an extreme episode of the bleeding effect in Assassin's Creed 2. What did he see? Was it A, the death of Altair? Was it B, the first kiss with Christina Vespucci? Was it C, the conception of Doreen? Or was it D, the last conversation of Ezio with Giovanni? I'm gonna... What do you think, dude? Joseph,
Yeah,
what do you think?
I don't know. I can't even see the question. It's not here. Give me a second. I gotta reset it.
I literally put it over here.
You didn't do a poll.
Oh, I didn't do a poll. Yeah, I don't want to do a poll. There aren't many people in the thing.
I know the answer.
Go ahead.
The conception of Darim.
There we go. There we go.
Because right after that, Desmond has a fit because Altair did an eagle dive and he didn't follow him. He's like, wait, what's going on? And then it just zooms into her stomach.
Damn. Oh, yeah.
I know my Ezio trilogy.
I remember now. I remember. I still have to I mean, I played the Ezio trilogy. I have to religiously play it this week because, like, I want Revelation stream to be amazing.
You've played it. I've lived it.
Oh damn. Yeah, man. It was the conception of Dareem when Altair hooked up with Maria. All right. Let's do the last two people and end it at Battle of Monmouth.
We only have one person left to do. That's Lafayette, I thought.
Yeah, Lafayette and Charles Lee. Charles Lee will be short. Lafayette is a bit big.
All right, then start now.
All right. All right. So the Lafayette research was brought Adha thing. It's some great research.
Connor, my
So
friend.
let's get started with
You
it.
have arrived
So
just in time to bear witness
Lafayette's
to our
name,
glorious victory.
of course, he was
Where is
French.
Charles Lee?
So I'm gonna butcher his name again. So
He
it's
shows
Marie
up in the
Joseph.
middle of our preparations and
It's
just
an
takes charge.
unpronounceable
Screams
full
at
name.
everyone to
It's
advance.
Marie
and then
Joseph,
I am left to pick up
Paul
the pieces.
Yves Roche, Gilbert de Motier.
Where did they come from?
Or as he's famously known,
Send
the
word that
Marquis
we are
de
falling
Lafayette.
back! Everyone to me! Now!
Okay, so the
now!
French.
I will hold the
He was a
area
French
while you bring them to
aristocrat and
safety.
military officer who fought in the American
I grant you my
Revolutionary
finest soldiers to serve as your
War,
personal guard. There is nothing they will not
commanding
do to ensure you
American
are
troops
victorious.
in several
Bonne
battles,
chance, mon ami.
including the siege of Yorktown. He believed in a constitutional monarchy. He was also a key figure in the French Revolution of 1789. The setting of AC Unity, of course, and the July Revolutions of 1830. The guy lived a freaking long life, and you see him in front of you right now. He has been considered a national hero in both countries. He was already a wealthy man before joining America to help against the British. Most French officers did this as revenge for the loss in the 7 Years' War, of course. He was also a Freemason, which opened many doors at his arrival in Philadelphia. One of his advocates was Benjamin Franklin, and he was also rather close to George Washington too. During the American Revolution, he took on the British and Hessian forces at Brandywine, together with General John Sullivan and Brigadier Thomas Conway. They could not hold Philadelphia, but Lafayette was praised for his bravery by Washington. He also was at Valley Forge in the winter of 1777 to 78, when Albany's invasion of Quebec was being prepared. Lafayette was very critical of starting this invasion during the winter, and the Continental Congress agreed with him on this. In December 1777, General Washington moved the Continental Army to their winter quarters at Valley Forge. By the time the army marched into Valley Forge on December 19, they were suffering not only from cold, hunger, and fatigue, but from low morale in the wake of the disastrous Philadelphia campaign. Washington's army was ill-prepared for the attack that would last 6 months. The army's supply of basic necessities like food and clothing ran perpetually short, coupled with the winter time cold and the diseases that ran rampant through the camp. This lack of provisions created the infamously miserable conditions at Valley Forge. Despite brutal conditions, Valley Forge marked a milestone in the Army's military experience. In February 1778, Baron Frederick von Steuben was appointed as the unofficial Inspector General of the camp and worked to bring in uniformity and improve the training to the Continental soldiers. Steuben's previous experience in the Prussian army during the 7-Year War prepared him to oversee the military training
We are low on
Washington's
ammunition,
men so
sir, and
desperately
the enemy
needed.
advances.
And by the end
we need to pull
of the
back,
encampment
rejoin
at
the others,
Valley
and
Forge,
cover their
the
escape.
army had undergone a significant transformation from ragtag and wearied recruits to an ordered and disciplined fighting force. News of a French alliance with the Americans came in May 1778, a few weeks before the army's departure from camp in June of the same year. Revitalized, reorganized, and uniformly trained, the army would forge ahead and display their newfound professionalism and discipline at the Battle of Monmouth in June 1778. Valley Forge was significant not only for the reshaping Washington's army, but for the dedication, endurance, and resilience demonstrated by the Americans in their cause for independence. He was also, I think, Marquis de Lafayette was also in the battles of Baron Hill, Monmouth, and Rhode Island. In Pennsylvania, there was an outcropping called now Lafayette Hill. This is because of the Marquis de Lafayette, who ordered men to appear from the woods on this outcropping in order to feign numerical superiority over the British during the Battle of Baron Hill. During the Battle of Monmouth, it was Lafayette who sent a message to Washington when he noticed that Charles Lee's troops had descended into chaos. During his life, he traveled between France and America and participated in more events such as pushing for the invasion of Britain by France and Spain, who was an ally at the time, serving as liaison between Washington and Rochambeau, whose army was essential during the Yorktown campaign and the siege of Yorktown in 1781. He was also in the negotiations of the Treaty of Paris.
Connor's tale rings true.
The first draft of the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen, a human rights document from the
I will investigate
Revolution.
these allegations at once.
The time for that is long past.
French Revolution.
This must be
It
done
had a major
properly,
impact on the,
else we're no better than
the
those we
development
oppose.
of popular conceptions
Never
of
mind the
individual
political
liberty and
ramifications of
democracy in
such an
Europe
act.
and worldwide. He was also in
Should
that
you
sense.
choose to spare Lee's life,
He
then I
was
will take it myself.
also named the commander-in-chief of the
Enjoy your
Parisian
victory, Commander.
National Guard. He made an oath
It
in
will be the last
1790,
I deliver
which
you.
he swore loyalty to the king. He even participated
How much more do you have? Hey you there?
Hold up. Was this whole time I wasn't on this whole time?
For like the last 30 seconds or so, maybe a minute. It just cut off.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, I can just like go back and do it. Where did I cut off?
I don't know. I wasn't keeping track on this sheet.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just gonna start from somewhere because Lafayette has to finish. Okay. So He made an oath in 1790 in which he swore loyalty to the king. He even participated in the fight of Varennes, where he almost enabled the king to escape from France in 1791, when he felt he was labeled a traitor by extremists such as George Danton and Robespierre. There was an attempt on his life in the Champs de Mars massacre, and he tried to flee his arrest ordered by Danton, which he was arrested in Austrian Netherlands, now Belgium. He spent 5 years in prison, with his family, and was ultimately released thanks to the negotiations of Napoleon Bonaparte. Thank you, Napoleon. God, that guy is amazing. Sometimes. Anyway, in 1800, he was given back his citizenship by Bonaparte and could retrieve some of his properties. In 1815, after Napoleon abdicated, Lafayette tried to help him get to America, but the British prevented this from happening. He visited the United States of America for the nation's 50th anniversary. During the Revolution of 1830 in France, Lafayette went back into politics when he was selected to the Chamber of Deputies. This time, Lafayette was against the king, and he was very outspoken about it. He died at the age of 76 due to pneumonia. He got a military funeral in France because King Louis Philippe didn't want the public from attending. But in the USA, he got the same memorial honors as Washington when he died in December 1799, thanks to then President Jackson. So, yeah, that's another historical figure done. Now, where is Charles Lee?
Last memory. We'll have to make it quick.
Yep. Alright. Charles Lee. I think we finished this in about like 2 hours, probably.
Need something
Something like that.
No.
Okay, are you at the memory?
I'm in it.
Oh, you're in it?
Can I help you? You know you can.
Yes, I started it.
Oh.
Oh wait.
I do not like having
dude,
my time
I'm seeing
wasted.
like a memory.
Stop that! Don't make me call the guards.
I'm seeing like a
Make
playback.
a sound and you die.
Okay, alright, let's see here.
Want?
Okay, so where's Charles Lee? He's right here.
We heard what happened at the parade.
So, Charles Lee was born in Cheshire, England. Lee was an educated person who went to school in Switzerland, where he became fluent in many languages. He joined the British Army in 1744, and would serve in a number of European armies, such as Portugal, Poland, and Russia. Though after he made America his permanent residence and joined the Continental Army in 1775. Lee was respected in the colonies as his military reputation, direction, and advice were needed in the first years of the conflict. After serving and defending the cities of Boston, Newport, Rhode Island, New York, and later Charleston, South Carolina, Lee had a high reputation in the colonies. Though in 1776, are you moving, dude?
No, just letting you talk.
Oh, okay. Just continue on with the memory. I'll be done with it as the mission is done. Though in 1776, New York City fell to the British and Lee was taken prisoner. In 1778, Lee returned to the Continental Army due to prisoner swap, though this time around Lee was different. For example, in the Battle of Monmouth on June 28, 1778, Lee's attack led to confusion as it was disorganized and resulted in the American advance guard retreating against Washington's orders, as you saw previously in the Battle of Monmouth. Later, confronted by Washington, the two men exchanged harsh words towards each other, and Lee was brought up on charges in insubordination, and Washington removed him from command for 1 year. Also, at certain points, he is believed to have been comparing himself to George Washington and seeking to take command of the Continental Army instead of Washington himself. This was seen in the Continental Address in Assassin's Creed 3. In the past, though, when he was second in command, Charles Lee had said that, and this was about General George Washington, that no man loves, respects, and reverences another man than I do General Washington. I esteem his virtues, private and public. I know him to be a man of sense, courage, and firmness. It took him 4 months to turn on Washington and start attacking his quote-unquote fatal indecision. Lee became a hothead as he became entangled in some affairs of honor and spoke against the Continental Congress for enforcing such a sentence on him. All these actions led to his permanent dismissal from the Continental Army, as he was permanently let go on January 1780. But after being such a prominent figure in American independence, why did Lee suddenly change allegiances? Well, this was because after he returned to military service after imprisonment by the British, he was believed by several prominent figures to have abandoned the American cause while being a prisoner. He had written some notes on how to best win the war against the Americans to prominent figures in Britain like General William Howe, the commander-in-chief of the British land forces in the colonies. All this made him a perfect Templar to have learned from the ropes of Haytham Kenway, fictionally, and having betrayed Washington, ultimately being dismissed and ending up in the bottle. Ultimately being dismissed and ending up in the bottom of a bottle, as you will see him in the end of the mission that we are playing. So yeah, that's about all I have on Charles Lee.
Should I play the whole mission, or?
Yeah, let's play the whole mission and ask the last trivia question. You answered it right. What do you want? What do you want to be the trivia question?
Go with an Origins.
Origins? Let's do Origins. By the way, hi guys, how are you? So, Origins. What the heck is Origins? Okay. Here is the question. What is Bayek's hidden one name?
Why do you
yeah.
persist?
So.
You put us down.
By the way, hi Zark, how are you?
You end one plot, we forge another.
Juno is providing the echo. God
You try
is
so
the echo
hard, but it
prominent
always ends the same.
in the
Those who know
screen.
you think you mad.
Wanted
This
that
is
animus
why.
effect, you know.
Even those men you sought to save have turned their backs on you.
So yeah.
Yet you fight.
What is Bayek's hidden one name?
resist.
Is it A?
Why?
Because no one
And I'm
else
gonna do
will.
a poll question here. Is it A, Amunet? B, New? Is it C, Yaku? Or D, Amun?
I already have an answer in the chat of Amun.
Oh yeah. By the way, we're doing this like poll questions, Zark. Really cool. But yeah, it is. It is Amun. Not Amun Ra. That's a deity. Oh man, it's been a live stream. Good job, Mac. Alrighty. So we just finished off all of these. I think.
Rough night, was it?
I think we're about to meet Charles Lee, right?
Yep, for the last time.
He headed
in the bar.
Took a ferry up the
Yep.
Charles River.
And
I will need passage as well.
Let's finish off with that
course.
memory.
Only say the word.
Poor Charles Lee, man. All he wanted to be was the first best, but he was always second best. And that earned him the villain spot in Assassin's Creed 3.
And that is it for me. That is the last mission of the game.
Alright. Well, we don't see Lee after that, but yeah. Thank you guys for joining. Sorry for the technical difficulties that happened. It happened because, well, not because of our control, but freaking internet controls. But yeah, this has been AC Landmarks. You can follow me on Instagram at AC_landmarks or on Twitter, same tag at AC_landmarks. Where can they follow you, Joseph?
You guys can follow me at Instagram at Historian's Purse, and or Instagram at Historian's Perspective, and Twitter at Historian's Purse. And look forward to future content from both of us, as well as future streams. And next week we will be tackling Assassin's Creed Revelations, and we'll give you some history about Istanbul, previously known as Constantinople. Before that, it was known as Byzantium. And we will see you guys in the next stream.
See you guys in the next stream. Also, don't forget to follow at Science. Is it at Science Creed? Am I right in that?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Science of Assassin's Creed, yeah, at Science Creed, I think.
At Science_Creed. That is Ada's tag, and subscribe to Master Hakate's ceremonials, because I think that their research has been great, and I think we appreciate their input into the Discovery Tours. With that, thank you guys so much for joining, and see you guys on the next Discovery Tour in Assassin's Creed Revelations. Bye!